Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kellie Antonowicz, and I am here at the request of my good friend Joaquin, um, just to share a little bit about my story with you, as well as some of the techniques and what I've been into up here at Ideas for Us Orlando. So. Like I said, my name is Kelly. I am the Director of Education for Ideas for Us Orlando, and I get to oversee, a bunch of really awesome programs that I'm going to talk about. So just a little bit about me. I graduated from Florida State University with my bachelor's in environmental science and policy in 2020. So right in the middle of the pandemic. And then while I was there, these two middle pictures, I used to work with a wildlife agency for our state of Florida, known as the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, so FWC for short. And I would work to help with gopher tortoise permitting and things like that. And then over here in the corner, you can see with the snake I have in my hand and the opossum, I worked at a nonprofit called the Tallahassee Museum, kind of just, leading their animal encounters and learning about things in their education department. So that is where I would say I got a lot of my start in education. And then after that, oh, I went a little too far. Sorry about that. And then last but not least, in the corner down here, I worked in a lab analyzing construction samples. So I have a pretty scientific background, I'd say. Most of my background is in wildlife. But fast forward to now, like I said, I'm the director of education for Ideas for Us, and most of my work is in Orlando. And to the from 2022 when I started working here to now, I've taught over 3,177 people. So those are people, who range in age from being in preschool, so 3 to 5 years old, to elderly senior citizens. I teach them as well, and I've gotten to do participate in some really cool projects here. So here on the left, in this left picture, you can see that's me. I am planting a mangrove behind a shoreline right here on my left. Um, and that is to see, how that better protects our coastline after a storm. So that's a nature-based solution we're using there. And then here on the right, this is me diving down to a coral nursery. As part of one of our projects, we collaborated with the University of Miami to, help them plant some corals. And that's where the baby corals are grown. So those were some of my favorite projects that I got to be a part of. But these are, more of my day-to-day, what I'm into. So up here on the left, you can see that I have, this is one of our programs known as Neighborhood Naturalist. And that teaches ecology education to students of all ages. So, um, but really, it's focused on students at this park. So that's what this picture shows. And we do a lot of bird watching, and it's really focused on naturalism, so the study of the living world. And you can see we found it's an invasive snail shell I'm holding here, and we're doing a scavenger hunt. And then, so part of my job has also been to oversee some of our school gardens. So you can see here down in this bottom left, those are a couple of my students from a couple years ago. And we were releasing ladybugs for natural pest management. And the kids are really into, you know, um, insects and things like that. And then here in the middle, this is one of those school gardens as well. We had an event here where we invited members of the school, members of the community, parents, teachers, the kids, all of that to, get to know the garden and spend some time in it. And then this food, this carrots and tomatoes and turnips that right here, I grew those with the kids in one of our gardens through a weekly garden club. And then over here, we have guest speakers come in. So we had a professor from the University of Florida who specializes in beekeeping come and lead a workshop for some of our families in the park, and it was awesome. And then down here, this is an example of one of the workshops I would lead for adults. So this one is focusing on women in the solar energy industry. Um, so this is just a very small snapshot of, some of the things I've worked on. But these are some of my favorites. So just a little bit about how I plan my educational setting or sessions. So I have to, really consider our age group. That would be probably the biggest thing. Um, so you have, age 3 to 10. We tend to do a lot of planting plants, harvesting vegetables. Scavenger hunts are a huge thing. So kids love to, kind of use scavenger hunts, and they're great because they encourage independent and exploration. And they're a really great way to kind of draw students to different things you want them to focus on. Another big thing we do with our students that age are bird and animal watching. So, they really like getting to see the wildlife through the different seasons. My students are really into the spring because that is when the birds are, having babies, and we're getting to watch the baby birds grow up, and they love that. And then another one is worm tower. So that's, vermiculture, the act of raising your own worms. The kids really, really like those, especially, it gives them a sense of ownership and pride when they are able to help feed the worms different food scraps and things like that. And same with releasing insects. And then for our 10 to 18-year-olds, we have, more job training. We have, we teach them a lot of entrepreneurial skills. So, taking what they're learning and using that to kind of figure out what they would like to do more of, or what they would like their jobs to be one day, maybe. We do a lot more in-depth scientific lessons. So one of my favorite ones are we will do like soil testing so they can, really figure out what is in their soil, what's it made out of. Mushrooms are another big thing I like to talk about because you can get really in depth with the science there as well. And the same goes for animal biology. So for our students who are in that older age group, I just like to, give them as much and as many different topics as I can so they can, kind of pick what they're interested in. And then anyone over 18, there's really no way to tell how much, older students and older people already know about topics. So we do a lot of gardening classes. We teach a lot of, flower growing classes and different things like that. And then just some of my favorite tools that are staples in our education department. We use a lot of binoculars, especially for, bird watching and animal watching. And we try to go on a lot of nature walks, and just getting our students outside at all is really, really important. So um, things like that. Wildlife guides. I actually have a couple right here. This one is a native tree and wildflower guide. So they have these great pictures on them and they have the scientific names and the colloquial names as well. And they tell you kind of what to look for. And we also have the same thing for the birds that we're seeing. And the students really like these. I love them because, they're great for really any age. So, younger kids can look at them and see the colors in the pictures, and, older students can make the connections with the description underneath. Magnifying glasses are another really big one. So I like to use those for students to look at, the soil closer to see what the soil is made out of, to look at, different insects or different parts of the plant and, the leaves. They look really cool under magnifying glasses. So those are definitely something we use a lot of. So I did want to share some of my favorite educational resources with you all. So the first one is going to be this website called Nature Watch. And they are great because I wonder if I click on it, if it'll show you. Yes, they are great because they have all kinds of different materials, which you can order. I tend to use this website more for ideas, so you can actually, just come up with different things, and I will look through here sometimes and base my lessons off of what they have. So I think Nature Watch is great for inspiration. The second one, really important, is the National Environmental Education Foundation. So the reason I love this is because they have so many resources on here. They do have current events and they have different opportunities, but they also have a lot of the thing that I like them for is actually to subscribe to their newsletter. And the reason for that is because they will send out grant opportunities, training. They will send you, printable lessons sometimes for free. So definitely subscribe to the National Environmental Education Foundation. Um, it's abbreviated as NEEF for short. Um, the last two are just, for different ideas. So kidsgardening.org, it is this nonprofit and they have tons of different learning ideas and they have different, resources and different, and it's all organized by age group. So I think that this is great for ideas. And like I said, we use different ideas from here all the time. We've done the flower preservation. We've done, the acorn experiments. So they're great for all garden related lessons. And then last is the Winnie Palmer Nature Reserve. They are another great place to get ideas and inspiration from. So some of my biggest things that I have learned, um, as in my position at Ideas and just in environmental education in general is you have to be willing to be flexible. So things can be unpredictable, and that can be for, a wide variety of reasons. The environment is unpredictable, so things like weather or, disasters or things like that do happen that can throw things off. They can throw the timing off. They can throw off, what the space actually looks like, as well as the attitude and feelings of students. So you just have to be willing to adapt your lesson to fit how students are feeling that day and fit what they're interested in. Um, I've found a lot more success with, going with the flow rather than getting upset when things don't go exactly the way that I want them to. Second is education creates community. We have created so many groups from the education we've done here in Orlando. So we have had moms come together and make moms groups. We have had students come together, and teachers are sharing ideas with us and with each other. And, people who are into gardening and nature, they're all sharing ideas. So I think education is a really important part of creating community. Um, and then using existing resources for ideas. Like I said, there were those ones back here that I showed you, but there are also tons of different ideas online. So definitely plug yourself into that and do some research and find what really speaks to you, because in my opinion, that's where the best lessons come from. And then let your students be your guide. When they express an interest in something, even if it isn't, exactly what you planned to do that day, or maybe you hadn't thought about it before, let them explore that, encourage that in them, explore it with them so that, everybody has their own reasons for being out in nature and for liking it. And we should teach students that that's okay as long as we are spending time in nature. That might look different for different people. And then this last one is really important in my opinion, and that is keeping track of your numbers when it comes to classes. So important points like the date of your class, how many students you had there, how many hours you were teaching, how many seeds did you plant, how many plants did you plant. Things like that are really important, because those numbers help, attract more people to your program. It helps, encourage funders and grants to, see that record of your program. And then keeping record of your activities also just helps you build on your curriculum year after year. Um, like I said, I've been here about 3 years, and every year was easier, than the year before, because I was, taking such good deep records of what we were doing so I could change things that didn't work, and I could make sure that I, kept doing things that did work. So, that is kind of all I had to share with you all today. Thank you so much for listening and for having me. And I look forward to meeting with you all virtually soon. So, bye.